How's it, Ant? I'm an alcoholic. I'm addicted to alcohol. So I might as well call myself an addict, but I'm addicted to many things. But at the end of the day, I might as well introduce myself by saying, how's it, Ant? I'm an obsession. Because I wasn't obsessing about drinking. And then when I went into recovery, I was obsessing about not drinking. I wasn't obsessing about scoring. I was obsessing about waiting for the merchant to come. And if I wasn't obsessing about that, then it would be work, then it would be sex, then it would be woman or something. So I think my whole life has just been kind of like one obsession after the other. And it's quite cool to be able to let go of the obsession. So yeah, anti-obsession, Caleb, thank you very much for cheering for me. You know, being in the house on the hill, it was like, always thinking, sitting there and thinking, oh, one day I'm going to sit here with Caleb at my side, and that day's come, man. And I thank God it's not a concern group. Yeah, my recovery started in about 2012. It was suggested by my very new wife that I go to rehab. I was living in Dubai. I'd been living there for like 15 years. So I went to rehab. I went to a 6-week program, 4-week program, or 3-week program, I don't know. But I was there for 6 weeks. And the guy actually said to me the other day, 4 years ago, he said, no, I thought you had it then. Well, I knew I didn't. It was suggested that I don't go back to Dubai. I went back to Dubai and I relapsed. Started a 1.5 year of white knuckling, and that's when the obsession kicked in. You know, I just like stopped drinking, but obsessed about other stuff. And it was a pretty bad time. And I went to a couple of rehabs after that, and I got into this like 3-month relapse system. But I could never stop by myself. There was only one way out. There was either jails, death, or an institution. And I chose the institution each time I went back to rehab. And I went back to rehab 3 times. Twice of those times was apparently due to a relationship that I got into in early recovery. Really not a good idea, huh? But after I think the 4th rehab, and my relapse, my last relapse before I went into long term, I realized that, you know, at my age, there's no ways I can do a short program and comply through the program, pretending I've got everything, and just like, you know, doing what appears to be the next right thing. And I went into a 6-month program, but I couldn't commit to 6 months. I didn't have the balls to do that. So I set tiny little goals to myself. I set like a 3-month goal. And I stayed in this absolute shithole for 3 months. I was in Nelspruit, very much a Bible bashing place, and a labour camp. And when the 3 months came up, I thought, well, you know, I've done 3 months, I can do another 3 months. And I did 6 months. But realizing at the end of that I actually hadn't progressed anywhere, I decided to come to the house on the hill. And thank God I did come here. Thank God for concern groups and many other things. And there's lots I learned there. And I think one of the crucial things, you know, this God thing that has always been thrown at us, what do they call it, good orderly direction, or whatever it is one of the things I got from the house on the hill. Although I might have had a spiritual awakening before that, call it whatever you like. Arriving there, some mad Canadian said I should get on my knees every morning. And so I started doing that. And that taught me a very vital lesson which keeps me in recovery. I do stuff I don't want to do. If I don't want to do something that's related to recovery, I just do it. And the sense of satisfaction of doing something that I don't really want to do is amazing. It's a lot better than doing something that I want to do and completing it. And so if I don't want to go to a meeting, or if I don't want to do step work, or if I don't feel like meeting with my sponsor, whatever other bull I get on with, then that's the thing that I definitely know that I have to do. And that really, really helps me every day. And it's just amazing once that's accomplished. When I start step work, it's like, oh my God, but then when I get into it, it's cool. And then I progress, and I've got somewhere in it. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's cleaning my room or shaving in the morning or whatever it is. If I don't really feel like doing something, then I realize that's the thing I actually have to do, because that's what keeps me grounded, a lot. So, I mean, coming out of rehab, I went to a halfway in Joburg. And another thing I quickly realized is that the power of association is critical to me in my recovery. If I'm going to associate, what do they say? People, places, and things, or whatever. You know, if I'm going to associate with people who are negative, who aren't willing or want to be in recovery or trying to be in recovery, even if they don't want to be there, but they're trying. Or if they're just unhappy all the time, then that's going to rub off on me the whole time. So I choose who I associate with all the time. And that's, I find, is a great help. Being around positive people who just want to try and get this done and have a happy, joyous and free life. I mean, I just find that statement. Who wants to be happy, joyous and free? Can't be happy all the time. Can't be joyous all the time. And I'm certainly not free. I'm not free today of my responsibilities. I'm not free of my addiction. I've got to look after my kid. And I revel in that. And our relationship has grown. So if I can just find a little bit of peace every single day, then it's amazing. He spoke in the preamble about truth. My pride, my ego got so in the way in all the rehabs that I went to, trying to get this, got in the way of me being truthful to others, but truthful to myself. Truthful that I am an alcoholic. And it was a lot more difficult for me to admit that I was an alcoholic than I was an addict. But in reality, I mean, I get addicted to most things that come my way, or more to the point, I obsess about them. So there's many things that I do to stay in recovery and also to have a joy in recovery. For me, it's all about having fun. I'm very blessed to be able to volunteer at a rehab center. And for an alcoholic of my nature, it's critical for me to stay in an environment that's very focused on continued recovery. I don't know how long I'm going to be there. I don't even know what I'm doing there. But I think in some way it's God's will. When I pray in the morning, I don't pray for myself. I pray for other people. Dr. Bob said, he said, praying in the morning is like a camel kneeling down in the evening and shedding its load. And then in the morning, when the camel stands up, it gets given its load for the day again. And that's kind of like how I treat praying every morning. I don't pray at night. I try to do a bit of inventory, but I'm not always that good at it. But it certainly helps me to pray. And I don't pray for myself. I pray for other people. I pray for people that I don't like. I pray for people that piss me off. And I'm quite arrogant at times. And I'm very judgmental. And so if I've got a problem with someone, then I pray for them. And it works, though. It might take a bit of time, but it certainly works. To lose that arrogance or to lose that being judgmental. Because if I'm judgmental, then I have expectations. As soon as I have expectations, I have resentments. Because my expectations are not going to be met. And when I have resentments, for me that's death. Completely. And that's how I work my recovery, I'm in a Christian place, although this Bible thing, I don't know, they speak about a guy in there who turned water into wine. I mean, he's my kind of alcoholic. I don't buy into that kind of stuff, but there is a lot of meaning in a spiritual awakening, whatever that does mean. And I don't know what it means to me, but it's certainly, I am on some sort of path that I don't know what it is, and I have no fear of it. Why, I don't know, and I don't particularly care. My story started in when I was quite young. Lived in Bryanston, it was all cool. Had two brothers. My father was an alcoholic, and as the disease progresses, he kind of lost everything. He was quite abusive, physically abusive. My two brothers had enough. They went to boarding school. In standard 4 and 5, I was alone with the old man. I think that was the start of me having to control everything. I don't know. And my mom got cancer at that time. I also went to boarding school, thank God. And standard 8, my mom passed away. And my father was still alive. The 3 brothers moved into a flat in Yeovil. And that's when I think I became fiercely independent. I was, 15? I was made a major. I had to pay for my own school fees and blah-de-blah. And I think from then, life became quite controlling. I became quite judgmental. I don't know. Did I feel different as a kid? Jeez, I certainly hope so. Eh? I'd hate to have been like everybody else. Was that a reason for me to use and to drink? really don't think so. After school, I did like any normal person would, and I joined the police force. Yeah, that was quite traumatic. Short was, I mean, but I wanted to be a criminal lawyer. And so, it was in the apartheid years, and I got a nickname as Black Brother in the police force. I did quite well in the force, although that's when drugs started. And I started smoking these white tablets, and that's progressed over the next 15 years, which I continued being an addict, addicted to that primary substance. By default, after the police, I went into the film industry. I did extremely, extremely well. The police had this like idea that I would be the next public relations officer of the police force. In 1984, they told me there'd be a new black government in this country, and they wanted me to be the public relations officer. I bolted and ran as fast as I could and went overseas. Hadn't started drinking yet. Joined the film industry where there's lang drinking. Didn't drink. I just did drugs. Cocaine came along, crack cocaine came along, and then I had a 10-year addiction to street drugs. Although I did well, after about 15 years, my life was really going down the tube. I didn't drink alcohol at all. If I drank 12 beers, 20 beers a year, it was a lot. But I did copious amounts of drugs, you know. And one thing I've got to tell you, if you're ever chased by the police, and that guy's on hallucinogenics, don't run. It was like one of my trips in the cops to do hallucinogenics and go on car chases, crazy stuff. Throughout the film industry, although I was exposed to all these different substances, I often knew I had the choice whether to get involved with it or not. But did I think I was an addict then? No. Was I spending all my money on drugs? Yeah. Did I give a shit? Nah. And I just continued to use, and then we know this is progressive. And it progressed and progressed and progressed. I used to use with my brother a lot, my middle brother. We used together, and I got him into the film industry as well. And I think this is when God first intervened in my life, and we packed up in South Africa and moved to Dubai. My daughter had just been born. That absolutely had no bearing on my usage or my addiction whatsoever. Zero. So we moved with my girlfriend and my daughter to Dubai, and so started a new life. I stopped doing street drugs in one day. And the next day, I started drinking. And so started a career, like a 18, 20-year career of drinking. So I've been a substance abuser for 35 years, every single day of my life. Not a chore at all. Dubai was hard work, and a lot of hard work. And I obsessed about the company that we formed, and we did really well. But I drank every single day, and I went through that same old thing after a period of time. Is there alcohol at the house? Do I have enough alcohol? But I hid it from everyone. You know, in the film industry we have all these rap parties and that kind of stuff. I'd be the first person to leave sober. I would never get drunk with the boys, with the director, with the cast, with the actors, or anything. I always used to have a couple of drinks, then go home and drink at home. Isolated right from the beginning with alcohol. Drugs, I was much more out there. But alcohol right from the beginning. It was like I was ashamed right from the beginning that I was an alcoholic. And the denial was so extreme that even though I knew what I was doing, consciously knew that I wasn't going to present myself as being an alcoholic, that I present myself that I've got all my shit together, but actually behind the scenes I didn't. A natural progression in Dubai was getting all these film technicians from all over the world who had substance abuse problems, and they all came to Dubai to work for me. And it was kind of like running a little mini rehab. They always came to me with their troubles. If they did, I was their sponsor, so if they got into trouble, the cops used to come after me, or the banks used to come after me, or whatever it was. But little did anybody know, I hid it so well that at the end of the day, I was the one with more problems than any of them But the company did well, you know. We did lots of good movies, big movies like Mission Impossible and I don't know, The Kingdom and Syriana and a whole bunch of stuff. And it got to a stage where I got bored with work. I was running a big company. I was shooting great stuff, but I was bored. And the only reason I could have conceivably have got bored is because of drinking. Drinking had now become everything. Work was like whatever. Driving the nice cars, the nice house, the picket fence, and all that kind of stuff. Drink became my biggest thing. I got married to my girlfriend, and she was an alcoholic from the onset. She actually died 2 years ago at the age of 40. She drank herself to death in 3 months. I used divorcing her as an excuse, her alcoholism, as an excuse to divorce her. Meanwhile, it just gave me the option to drink more. The person who suffered most through all of this was my daughter. I was completely an absent father, never mind the alcoholic. Thank God I wasn't abusive. But it became such a compulsion within me that an obsession that I had to drink, that the only way I could function was to drink, because everything else in life was boring, completely boring. And I started drinking a lot, got married again, and my new wife, after about a year and a half, suggested I go to rehab, which is what started my recovery. Coming back from rehab, back to Dubai, she had moved out and taken a house and moved to Germany. I think this is where my willingness started after that first relapse. Because my relapses were so severe each time, it was as if I'd never stopped using. The times that I used street drugs while I was in Dubai, predominantly an alcoholic, was so bad I used to go, after not sleeping for 2 days, I used to go completely psychotic. It was horrendous. The progression of relapsing and staying clean for 3 months and relapsing, each relapse got so bad. It was as if my disease had accelerated, completely accelerated. When I started drinking again on the relapses, I drank a whole lot more than what I drank previously, when on my previous relapse. And this is where I think a willingness to try anything or do anything kind of like kicked in. And even though my journey through all the rehabs was zigzag, it was up and down, it was like being in a squash court bouncing off walls, it nonetheless was a journey. It was a progression that I made each time, and each time I tried again. I think without some sort of like, I don't know, call it what you like, some sort of awakening, or just being able to chat to God. You know, I was listening to a song on the way here that gave me a lot of inspiration to speak here today. It's like quite a heavy metal rock song, but it's about a guy who found a friend using drugs and how bad it was. I've never heard it before. So I've been going into treatment and eventually finding surrender. I learned to listen. But surrender not as in surrendering like the French surrendered in the Second World War, and lots of pockets of resistance, because that's what I was. I surrendered, but I had all these pockets of resistance. I wouldn't do that. I would have relationships. I wouldn't do that, but I would do this. And my willingness continued. And I developed an attitude of why not? Why not do step work? Why not get on my knees? You know, not why am I an addict? Why am I an alcoholic? Oh, well, why not, you know? Why not do the things that I'm supposed to do? When my first wife went into hospital, when she went on her final binge at the age of 40, I think I mentioned that, and she went into ICU, I checked her into hospital, and I thought, yeah, I was clean at the time, I was doing the next right thing. After she passed away, the hospital sued me for $680,000. And I had relapsed since then, and I was speaking to a counsellor about it, and I was really feeling sorry for myself. Saying, yeah, why are they suing me for $680,000? I did the right thing. I took her to hospital. I tried to help her. I think you're so sick and tired of my bitching, you just turned around to me and said, well, why not sue you? I had an answer to that. And since then, I've adopted this attitude of why not? Why not try something? And I believe humans have this innate desire for change, yet we fear it so much. I'm not sure what I fear today. I think my whole life has been dictated by fear. Fear of what? I don't know. Fear of rejection. I was very arrogant, when I went to the center. I got in concern groups, was like, yeah, me and my arrogance. But all of it has been a progression towards a better way of life. Yes, it is a bit zigzagging. Yes, I have cut days. Now I sort of have a little bit of hope, knowing that it's a cut day. I can't have a good day unless I've had a cut day. There's no ways I'd know. I can't be happy unless I've been sad. But happy, joyous, and free, I don't know. I can't have freedom from addiction unless I've been addicted. And that's the way I treat my life, and that's the way I move forward. I have a joy in recovery. I do what I can do. I have my family time. The relationship with my daughter is better. The Afrikaans marks this year have gone from 7% to 77%. She's never spoken Afrikaans in her life. I didn't do that. I doubt she did it. Well, she must have, she did do it. But there's some sort of intervention that did that. She's doing average marks of like 70, 80%. Is it because I've left her in Joburg and I'm doing well in my recovery in the South Coast? Who knows? Probably is. Is it because my act's together? Probably is. Because her marks were never good at school. And that's just another little indication of what do they say? Joys of recovery, the gifts of recovery bring. So today, I'm clean for today. I'm a year clean since I went to the house on the hill. And, but for the grace of God, I went to the house on the hill. And my journey will still be zigzagged. My journey will still be tough. But with associating myself with the right kind of people, putting myself in the right kind of environment, and not allowing myself to go into the wrong environment, then I think tomorrow I'll be clean as well. I don't know about tomorrow. I hope so. I've got a racing car. I drive around a racing track to get rid of my adrenaline rushes. When I can afford it, I jump out of aeroplanes. It was suggested I use a parachute, so I follow suggestions and I use a parachute. I scuba dive when I can. In fact, I scuba dive here. I've made some good friends here. They aren't in recovery, but they're good friends. They understand exactly where I'm at. I crap myself when I see a shark. I don't crap myself when I see a billboard advertising alcohol anymore. I don't crap myself every time I drive past a bottle store or a bar or go to a restaurant and the table next to me is drinking a glass of wine. I'm very blessed to have got that. Am I grateful for being an addict? I don't think I'm at that stage yet. Am I grateful for being in recovery? Yes. I'm a grateful recovering addict. But at the end of the day, I'm Ant and I'm an obsession. Thanks for letting me share.